right, we are streaming to the YouTube and the interwebs. Welcome. I am Greg, the creator of How to Build Games and Superhero Coding, and also known as the Game Dev Coach. Not going to do a long intro. Hopefully you watched last week. If not, go back and check it out after this one is done. So last week we started with a very simple basis of a game, and we're just going to pick that up this week. I'm trying to do shorter intros because I tend to ramble. Drop a comment if you're here and say hi. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to see more content like this, if you think it's interesting to watch a game developer just make a game really without a lot of a script, this is the place to do it. I'm going to switch right over to Unity, although that is my live stream screen. And here we go. This is where we started last week. So I'm going to hit play. There's not a whole lot to it. So the player can move back and forth using the arrow keys, because I'm an old school PC gamer all the way back to my VIC-20 and Apple II, using the arrow keys. And so we've got a player down here moving around. We've got kind of an alien mothership up here that's gonna, I don't know, drop bad guys or bombs or both. Yeah, that's where we're at. I'm gonna add some more things to make it a little more flexible. So I really wanted to do this. I'm not necessarily doing all this in the way that is most optimal. I'm just kind of doing it in the way that my brain works and the way that I normally do things, to just to give people some insight. Because sometimes it's hard to know where to start, like completely from scratch. We watched last week, I started with a brand new Unity scene. I didn't import anything. I've got some really cool tools. If you go to superherocoding.com, sign up for the email list, you will get the Superhero Coding Toolkit, which is a bunch of cool drag and drop scripts that'll like make your objects jump or change color on click and stuff like that. And I am going to make some games with that on this channel. Fun Friday, maybe, I don't know. But this, start from scratch, every line of code that you see, you're going to see me do, for better or worse. So we start with the player script. We've got a move speed. We get the transform, the get component. I'm going to end up making a video all about get component. That'll be a normal video, not a live stream. Update is just taking into account whether they're moving left or right, whether we're hitting the space bar, and then assign the position. Now we did do this one thing called step moves, so that if that is clicked, then it moves in steps rather than smoothly. Of course, you'd want bigger steps most of the time, or I guess it's using that, so I'll do that. So there, that's a much more, which could be interesting if I move forward and back and stuff like that. But for now, I'm leave that off normally because I'm going for sort of a Galaga Space Invaders kind of thing-ish, at least to start. I'm probably going to end up zooming out some, but we'll get to all that later. I'm going to take a drink of water and start writing some more code. So digging into the alien mothership script. So I took the player script, duplicated it, and ripped some stuff out. I like working that way. Take something I built, duplicate it, rip some stuff out, add some stuff in. It just makes sense to me to keep building off what you've done previously. So what we've got, it's a very simple loop. It goes around and it loops. It's just looking at the Y position. We've got a max X and a min X. If it goes past 8, then it past 8, then it comes to -8, and so it just moves back and forth. It's not bad. In time, I want to make it maybe go back and forth or something like that, drop some things. For now, I think we're going to make a simple script. We're going to do some instantiating. That is basically, we're going to create an instance of something on the fly. Whenever you are in a game and you want to create an object in Unity, that's called instantiating it. And you can instantiate something with scripts on it and all that kind of stuff and colliders, and we're going to do all that. All right, enough talking. Let's get to writing code. So I think, so we've got the alien mothership moving, we've got the player. The super simplest way we can do this is to add something here when the key happens, when they're pressing space, we shoot something out. So I'm going to take another, variation of the player script. I'm going to duplicate that. It's going to fuss at me because now there's two scripts called player. I'm going to rename that to, we'll call it moving object. I'm going to call it bullet. It may or may not be later. And you can do inheritance and all that stuff. It's kind of overkill for some of this. And if you're new, it can be really confusing. So I just duplicate script, and there's not really a lot of the previous one gonna still be in there anyway. Now, you know, if you've watched much of my stuff, that this script name has to match the case exactly for over there. So I'm in the moving object script because that's what I double clicked on. So now I'm gonna copy and paste that. And so now it's going to be happy with that. So we've still got a move speed. 20 is gonna be way too much. We're gonna start with a move speed for this of like 1. Step moves. I don't think that would be useful. Yeah, I'm gonna take that out. We need a reference to the transform. We need a reference to the current position. We don't need the if step moves is true part. So take that out, move that back. You're shooting the evil aliens. Okay, so in this, we don't need to get any player input. If we were launching things that were shooting things, and that might be a spoiler alert, we would have something kind of like this in there. But for now, we just kind of need one piece of it and rip most of the rest of that out because we don't want any user interaction in this moving object. Now, this moving object could be a bullet that is going from the player to the alien mothership. Could be an alien or a bullet coming from the mothership to the player. Doesn't matter. So we don't really need the move offset thing as much right now because the bullet is not going to move in the X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to comment that out. I might use something like that later. Comment it out for now. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is not really meant to be a teaching tutorial. I have a lot of those on this channel. Some old ones from 2013 and 2014, some newer ones that I did just a few months ago. I'm working on a new super simple course. I'm really bad about just dumping lots of information. This isn't really meant to be a super teaching tutorial. I'm going to talk about why I'm doing some things, more of the mindset kind of thing, more of the why I'm doing it rather than how to do it, the why and the what versus the how. So really all we need for this is we need it to move in a certain position, the X, Y, or Z, and we want it to move, move speed position. So in this case, I know that I want it to either go up from the player or down from the mothership. So I know that that is Y because RGB is X, Y, Z. RGB is X, Y, Z. So what I'm going to do, and I talked about why we have to do current position, local position, all that stuff in the last one, so I'm not doing that here. I want the current Z position and the current X position to stay where they are. And the Y position is going to be Y equals Y position equals Y position plus move speed. Let's do that like 0.1. All right. Let's restart that. And we're going to take our player. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to call this a bullet. I'm going to make it maybe 0.25 and 0.25. That I'm going to give it, let's give it a color like orange. Yeah, why not? The colors on this are a little wonky. It's because of the URP lighting. It's still a bit much, but it's okay. I'm gonna mess with it too much right now. We can. The goal of this is not to make it look nice right off the bat. If the gameplay is there, you can always make it look nice better. But as many failed AAA titles have shown us, making it look nice is not sufficient. At this point, I should pop back here and see if anybody's saying anything. Nobody's saying anything. Keyframes are blah, 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 blah. I don't know. It's fussing at me. I don't know. It's all right. Okay, so the bullet is this thing. That's probably a little bit big. Let's do 0.15, 0.15, 0.5. I like that better. And we don't want the player script. We're going to remove that component. We're going to add the moving object component. Speed of 0.1. I'm going to hit play because really all I want to see is it moving upwards? Yep. All right. And then it's gone, which is okay. All right. So what we need to do next. That's good. So when you're instantiating things, you want a sort of a master or a reference object. I'm going to put that in there. That's going to be where it starts. And let's see. Yeah, okay. I'm going to turn it off because we don't want it to just fly out as soon as we start. I'm going to go back into the script. The 0.1 speed is okay for now. Yeah, anyway. So where we need to be is the player script. So we're going to make a game object reference called bullet, or let's call it main bullet, whatever, doesn't matter, not important. That's going to be the one that we use to spawn all the rest. So when they hit the space bar, you can't just say instantiate main bullet. That doesn't do a lot yet. A much better way to do that is to do, say, game object new bullet equals instantiate bullet. Excuse me. What this does is when you generate or create this, that's the name of the variable, that's the type of the variable, but that's going to give us, that's going to let us do things with it once it's created. The first thing we need to do is set active. Now set active basically is going to do the equivalent of clicking that on. If it's on, it's active, it's moving, like you see when we hit play there, and it moves up. If that is unchecked, then it does not move, it doesn't do anything, it's just sitting there, you can see. still there. So what we want to do is we want to create an instance of it or a copy of it and then turn it on. So main bullet has not been assigned. Now if I hit spacebar, sure enough, there's a bullet. Now you might notice it's coming out a little high. It's coming out from right there. Well, that's because that's where it is. If I moved it over here, then every time I shoot, it comes out over there. So we're going to fix that. Now, you might see those bullets. Yeah, they're going to keep going forever, and that's bad. They will just keep going, and that will eventually crash your game. That's okay. We're going to fix that too. But what it's doing, it's making a copy of it, and then it is turning it on by clicking that set active. So we want to take the bullet. I'm going to move it inside the player, and I'm going to move it down. So it's going from there. So now, because this is a child object of this parent object, wherever the parent object goes, the child object goes. And I still didn't assign it. There we go. Well, that's not fun, is it? So it is instantiating it. Actually, it might be instantiating it at 0, 0, 0. Let's find out. Yeah, so it's actually instantiating it at 0, 0, 0. It wasn't just necessarily where I had it. Well, that's not right either. I guess it's going to be an offset. Okay, it's okay. We'll figure it out. Yeah. So there's several. I don't normally just instantiate things like that. There's the object we want to instantiate. Like it says, clone the object and return the clone, which ends up in new bullet over here. Transform parent. So that is good. We want to do this object. And that's as the parent that is assigned to the new object. World space, we can do other things too. And there's, like so many things in programming, there's several ways to do this. I could instantiate it, and I could come over here and create, or right after that, set the local position of the bullet to be 0, 0, 0. For now, I'm going to do this because this is kind of a cool thing. Nope, still not working. All right, no, it happened. I've done this in a while. That's the beauty of live streaming. I can look like an idiot in front of a lot of people, and I don't care because this might help somebody. This thing helps somebody go, oh, that's how you do that, or oh, now I see how to start a project from scratch. Then I don't care if some code snob's like, there's a better way to do that. Okay. Because there's always a bunch of different ways to do it. And this is how I work. I don't do this specific thing often enough to remember exactly how to do it. So yeah, so I look it up or I make it work. What I want to do, I want to set new bullet transform parent to, can we set parent maybe? Set parent, I guess so, to be game object transform. So I'm not sure why that didn't do what it was supposed to do. That will, what that will do is that will take the new bullets objects and it will make them children of the player object. I'll show you why that's kind of interesting. So there's kind of what we were expecting, right? Ooh, that's not what we were expecting. Of course, now they're coming out all over the place, but guided missiles. So that's a little interesting. It'd be more interesting if there was more space on the screen. So there's a bunch of these. Real quick, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna take the floor. I'm gonna move it up. I'm going to scale it a little bit thicker because sometimes if objects are moving really quick, they can just pass right through without the collisions. Unless you set up different collider properties, I'm not going to mess with all that. So I usually have a script called destroyer. And what this script is going to do is it is going to, come on, there we go. It's going to, when there's a collision, I've got that anywhere in here yet. On collision, enter. So what it's going to do is when something hits it, it destroys it, period. So this is the object that is colliding, and that is the kind of class. So we're just going to say destroy collision.gameObject. We could make a note that, hey, I'm destroying collision.gameObject.name, but it's not that important. I'll call this destroyer. And I turn off the mesh renderer. So mesh renderer is what makes something visible or not. You can still see the outline. That is the box collider going on. But it changes the scene because it changes the lighting, because it's blocking lighting. We'll destroy our script over there. Now what should happen is as these move past the mothership and off the screen, they will hit that and they will go away. Let's see. Nope. Let's see. I've got a collider, but I don't have a rigid body. Rigid body. I don't want gravity. I don't want my destroyer falling and destroying everything. Look at that. It destroyed everything. Well, there you go. Okay. I add the rigid body because on collision script needs a rigid body to do anything. So gravity off is kinematic. I don't necessarily need it, but yeah, I'm gonna put it on. Well, yeah, it's a good idea. And basically that tells it to not move. Now it should work. Nope. Does this have a rigid body? Doesn't it? Man, maybe I should run and hide and delete the live stream so nobody knows. Sometimes I forget how to do things. But this is turning out to be quite a terrible live stream, I must say. Alright, I promise I've done this before. Colliders. Why is the collider not working? That's on, that's on. Player, probably because I don't have anything here. Because you gotta have a rigid body or a collision. I don't want that on that. I guess I do want that on that. Really, I guess it could be a trigger. Well, I've done this so many times. But I'm old. I always remember. Okay. That's not what I'm trying to go to. I'm trying this. On collision, enter. It could be. Doesn't have to. Trigger enter. other dot game object. Trigger. Object hitting trigger is. Sorry, I'm musical. I'm rhythmic when I hear something that reminds me of something, and I sing it. You know, enjoy. Right. Set the destroyer set to be trigger. Still on. Okay. I'm going to save as sample scene week 2. I'm going to make a new scene because this really is not rocket science. I should not. Okay, now let's do that. Let's go back to this. So when things are not working like you think they should, start removing variables. All right. So I'm going to remove all those variables, all that variable. I've got a camera and a floor. Floor has a collider. I'm going to make a cube, and I could just look it up, but where's the fun in that, right? I guess you'd be like, well, then I'd be moving on with my day, and you would. That's fair. But okay, we're gonna put destroyer, but the destroyer destroyed everything else. That's the funny thing. Box collider on the floor, cube, rigid body, so it'll fall, affected by gravity. Hit play. Cube should drop. Bloop. And there, it destroyed it. So what the what? All right. Box collider, rigid body. So clearly this is working. Clearly I'm not completely lost my mind. Object collider should be collision game object name. Collision enter. Yeah. So yeah, when something's not working like you want it to or think it should, you just got to start, pause, rewind, back up, strip down what you're working with. See, now I don't have the alien mothership flying around, another player. Okay, got a block, it hits floor, goes away. That's good. Okay. So, okay. Let's remove the rigid body from the destroyer. Destroyer's up here, right? Turn that back on. Cube. Moving it down. I want to add the moving object script to the cube so it moves up. And in theory, it should hit this and destroy. Oh, I got gravity on the cube. Not what I want. All right, I'm gonna hit play. Moves up. Object hitting trigger is cube. All right. But clearly, I'm destroying the wrong thing. Destroy removes a game object. No, that should be right. Collision dot game object. On collision enter. Collision game object. I'm losing my mind. I'm gonna spend a whole hour just like, I'm like, hey, look. Okay. It's not because it's kinematic. Moving. It's got a collider. Making me crazy. Hi, Imposter Syndrome. It's nice to see you. But when you're building a Unity game one day and building a funnel the next day and working a mobile app the next day and doing a lot of different things, as I do, you tend to forget the intricacies of this or that. All right. 2 cubes, right? This one is here. This one should use gravity. One should not have the moving object script. Maybe it's on, but it's off. So the cube starts, it hits the floor, it's destroyed. What the what? Both of them should destroy. That one destroyed. This one did not. Box collider, destroyer, right? Box collider, destroyer. Oh, because I had a trigger set. There you go. Okay. We're getting there. Well, you know. Hey, guess what? You're getting a lesson in how you break things down when things don't work. Also, that even for somebody, and I've been programming professionally for 25 years, written a lot of good code, I promise. Started companies that have been acquired, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you don't remember stuff. Sometimes even the basic things don't work. You got to go back and think, oh, hang on, something's not right, man. So, all right. So the cube works. All right. So I know the destroyer works. This is what I'm doing. I'm breaking down. I'm removing variables to figure out where the piece is. And in like 2 minutes, I'm like, oh, of course, that's why it didn't work. All right. So the bullet, box collider, got a collider, moving script. Rigid body is kinematic. That might be messing it up. I don't think so. Let's try a bullet by itself, not spawned. It starts here. It moves up. And when it hits the collider area, it should also go away. I wonder if the kinematic part is messing it up. I didn't think is kinematic would keep it from working. Would keep it from colliding. Let's look it up. Ha 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 ha. Controls whether physics affects the rigid body. Well, I knew that, but I didn't know that. Collisions will not affect the rigid body anymore. The full control of the animation. Okay. Well, learn something new every day. All right. Well, so I'm not an idiot. I was doing it right. This is positive. Hey. Good. I am at it again. Yes, sir. All right. So, hey, if is kinematic is on, collisions don't work. So I wasn't doing anything wrong other than checking is kinematic. So that, I mean, that's kind of reassuring because I did not know that. I guess I don't normally turn that on. I mean, I knew is kinematic makes it not fall, not be affected by gravity. You can affect it with code. I didn't realize that that kept all the collisions and things from not working. Now I do. Yeah. Hey, I'll never make that mistake again. All right. So these test cubes, I'm just gonna leave them there. Test cube 2. I'm gonna turn those off. All right. Turn things back on. Save it out. All right. So got our floor, which still has the destroyer script on it, which could be interesting. Yeah, we'll see. We've got a player. Player spawns bullet. Make sure bullet and make sure is kinematic is not set. All right, and what should have taken me 5 minutes, took longer, but I learned something. And now as I shoot, they go up, they follow the parent, although in a very weird way. I'm still not doing something entirely right. That's okay. Look at that one. It's gonna fall down and hit the floor. If that is my main bullet, that is being affected by things. Now see, if your main bullet goes up and gets destroyed, then you don't have any reference anymore. That's why I turn it off, because the bullet by default is going to move itself up, and we don't want it to do that. Yeah, okay, actually I do know doing the other thing. Set that to 0, 0, 0. Which is of course relative to the player. I'm gonna remove this from the floor so it doesn't confuse me later by breaking something else. But what we don't actually want it to follow the player. I'm gonna comment those out. We don't need a trigger. So the difference between a collision and a trigger: collision collides, and if physics are on with two objects that collide, they will collide. Whereas a trigger, it will pass through, and you can still trigger something. So if it was, I don't know, can't think of a good example right now, but sometimes you want it to pass through something. Or like it's a trigger, like if you want your bullet to split out into 3 halfway up the screen, you would put a trigger there because you still want the thing to pass through it. You just want to know when it's passing through and then do something as a result. But what I want to do with my moving object, which in this case is a bullet, so the bullet right now happens from within player. So because I'm setting the parent to this, that's the guided missile thing. So watch this. We're gonna come back to that later. Guided missile false. Private Boolean, in fact. And so if guided missile equals true, then do that. Otherwise, because what we want most of the time, if true, follow the parent's movement always. What we actually want to do is set the parent to be null, which in Unity terms is going to put it in this main hierarchy here, so it's not going to be part of anything else. Now you can, if I wanted them all to go under like a bullet object, I could do that, or like a bullet parent, but that's not important. All right, so what this will do is it will move back and forth, it will shoot. I still need to grab the, it's like hitting, and I've still got one that's going wonky. I mean, that's kind of exciting. It's not exactly what I wanted. I think it's taking the position and rotation from the player. Clearly, I should have put more work into this before I started streaming, huh? The funny thing is, I've done this. I've taught this in boot camps. I've done this repeatedly. I just haven't done it in a while. My brain has been in other things. Transform. So I do want to instantiate it. I want the transform to be the transform parent. Yeah. Transform called parent. So I want that to be game object, as in the current game object, instantiated world space. false to set the object's position relative to its new parent. Transform false. Right? Number of things to transform. I always forget to do this. Okay, back up. Game object dot transform. Let's do this. Have the game object transform local position equal to new vector 3 dot 0. What it's called? No. It's vector 3 0. It's not new. Vector 3 0, which is shorthand for 0 0 0. So that will set. That sets this game object as the parent. Set it to be active. Set the position to be true. Then we move it out into the main hierarchy so it has its own space. I think this is taking way too long. Well, that's not really what I wanted either. Oh, you know what? I bet it's colliding with player because the player is a box object. It's a collider as well, you see. I set his trigger. Look at that! All my troubles feel so far away tomorrow. I just mixed like 3 songs. I'm very sorry. I do want... and one of them is still like way out in space. Just fly, little bullet, fly! Oh, sorry. Forgot I was live streaming for a minute there. That's just... because you're really getting a glimpse into my process, whether you want it or not. Yeah, so wherever I am, it should do that. The other thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to change the bullet. I'm going to set the constraints. I'm going to freeze the rotation because I don't want it to rotate in the X, the Y, or the Z. Okay. So we know what it does when it hits the destroyer. When it hits the destroyer, it says, hey, destroy anything that hits this, right? What we need is for something to happen when it hits the mothership. So let's do something like that in there. All right, so look at the destroyer code real quick. This is what actually worked. We're going to go to the mothership. And I want to make sure that the destroyer and the mothership, box collider, right? All right. So I don't want to just, well, I do. So this, we can do that there. Destroy the bullet, and then set active. No, not set active false on the existing game object, which will be the mothership. I guess I could do something kind of cool as a result. Fun idea. All right, let's try it. Well, let's try this first. I'm shooting, and lots of bullets. There, hit the mothership. Boom, done. Hey, you win. Nice. Let's do something a little more kind of wacky. Okay. See, because that's not very interesting. One, I'm going to move it down a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. Ooh, that can be fun too. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to make this like a smaller one. Sounds kind of fun, right? Oh yeah. Yeah, why not? So what I'm going to do here is this is going to be fun. Let's do that at 0.15. Let's set 0.08. Turn these off, and I'm going to create an empty child called destruction container. Which sounds way more exciting than it is. So when you turn this off, you can't turn other things within it on, because if this is off, this being on is irrelevant. So probably what I'll do is I'll have that on, I'll have these on, and then when they destroy that, I'm just going to drop that out there. Yeah, that's exactly. All right. So now I need to make a new object reference. Public game object called destroyed object. It's not a great name, but it'll work. And I guess I could set this out. No, it doesn't. I think I could still set it active and then set the parent of this to be the other, but yeah. I'm going to do the same thing we did with the bullet. I'm going to set the parent to be null, which will drop it back out into the main area. Transform set parent null. And then that will be, I guess I'll need to also activate it. Destroy object, transform, no, destroy objects, it's game object, set active, true. All right, dramatic pause while I look at the stream. Hey, I'm doing good. Still got one person watching. It's probably Tristan. God bless you, man. I'm having fun. You know, and I'd be doing this. Let's say I'd be doing this whether people watched or not. I do this whether people watch or not, and have for a long time. So, yeah, why not? Okay. Now play the game. The astute observers among you know what's about to happen if everything works. Shoot. I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna shoot. Nothing happens. I didn't do it right. Okay. So you destroy the object, and I should. I wonder if they're hitting that. No, they're not hitting that. Oh, duh. I always do that. Always do that. I create an object and I don't assign the reference. That's okay. All right. Boom. Now there's two of them, although you can't really tell. So let's do a blue and a purple. Boom. All right, so you're aware that something happened. It'd be a little more dramatic if, you know, you could see more of it, and view is a little bit bigger. Let's try that. view out some. See a little better. Shoot. It's like, oh, several things have happened, except that's really wonky now because the field of view is so skewed. Okay, yeah, that's not my best idea. That's okay. I think you know, I mean, that's part of game development, though. You try things and maybe they're interesting, maybe they're not. That's just part of it. I could probably trigger a particle system or something. I think. Yeah, just gonna remove that. I still kind of like this idea. I think I'm gonna put a rigid body on there. That on there. Make a few more. Put some different sizes. I'm going to take all of these things and make the idea, although I don't think it's going to be very good, is to make it kind of seem like, oh, you blew it up, so there's lots of pieces and debris. I think it's going to come off like that. I really don't. We'll see. So much pieces. It'd be better if I like had them jump up in the air a little bit. Boom. Yeah, that actually worked better than I thought it would. Still, I don't like all the colors. It's way super saturated here. Just don't. Change. Well, I'll do that. So all the colors being or super unsaturated, I should say. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna focus on that later. So yeah, we're here, we shoot, boom, blows it up, and we can scatter the pieces of our enemy about. Ha ha ha! So that's fun. Okay, should I keep going? Guess it's been about an hour. Really been an hour? Page would tell me close. Okay. Tell you one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go into the player script. I'm going to save. I keep wanting to use the arrow keys, so let's do or. D is going to be the same as right arrow. And I'm just going to grab the whole thing. And A, and left arrow. I guess I'll put that. Guess I can do the same thing down here, although this is get key, not get key down. And the difference, of course, being get key down keeps returning true as long as the key is being held, whereas get key just does it one at a time. If this was get key instead of get key down, it would shoot a constant stream, which could be fun, you know, if you want to. So let's do that. Let's turn on physics on the bullet. It's going to end very badly. Gravity, rather. And that's probably going to not go well at all. Well, I don't know what I've made, but it's fascinating. is kind of interesting, isn't it? But this isn't Fun Friday. What am I doing? We're not supposed to be having fun. There's no fun in game development. That's really kind of fun, though. Huh. Okay. Yeah, sound effects are mine. That is not actually coming out of the game. We haven't put sound effects in yet, but I can't resist one. See, that's just kind of fun. That's almost a fun. Maybe I should save the wacky experiments. Seems like maybe I should. That's pretty fun. And yet somehow we blew up the boss. Okay. Because this is kind of the beauty of game development. You end up with little bits and pieces. And I go, there's a game there somewhere. I'm just not exactly sure where. But you find these happy little accidents, as Bob Ross would call them, and it makes things interesting. Guess I'm gonna turn that back off, but I'm gonna make a note for something pretty fun. Change this to get key and turn gravity on the bullets. Well, you know, and that's part of it. You just don't exactly always know where fun stuff's going to happen with game development. So, okay. Let's say we have that. We have one other one here that's maybe a little bit bigger. And as a result, moves a little bit slower. And as a result, maybe has more debris. Let's grab some of those moves up. I think I'm going to change all those and this one to be instead of, because why not? Alright, so now we've got 2 alien motherships. Bigger and slower one. That one should probably take more bullets to kill, right? And right now, everything's a one shot. That's okay. Boom. That's probably a good place to stop. I hope you've learned something. I have. I learned that putting is kinematic on something makes it ignore on collision enter. Didn't know that because I didn't try it before. Oh, you know, so that's what this is all about. This is about you seeing, and I am a professional programmer, have been for 25 years. I am a professional game developer. I've published a bunch of games. I've worked on my own games. I've worked on games for other people. I've published apps with Unity, created companies based around apps with Unity. I led teams of people working with Unity, brought in to consult on Unity projects, and yet I accidentally click a box that breaks everything for the next 20 minutes. Yeah, it's part of it. If I was dealing with box colliders and stuff every day, that wouldn't happen. But as it happens, I do a lot of different things, and that's one of them. Again, if you're just joining us or joined somewhere in the middle, thank you for watching. Make sure to check out superherocoding.com. Sign up for the email list. You'll get Superhero Coding Toolkit, which is a bunch of really cool little scripts that I've made to make it really easy to get into game development. Drag and drop stuff that makes it so much easier to kind of get started, just to get started having fun. I'm probably going to take this bullet spawn thing where you move back and forth. It spawns bullets everywhere and put that in there. It's just kind of fun. The idea of that whole toolkit, and it's free. Just sign up for the email list, and I'll also email you when updates come out. There's probably going to be an extended version that's got a bunch of other cool stuff later on and some other tutorials and stuff. Some of that might be paid, but the basic version is always going to be free for everybody, always, forever, period. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'm Greg, the game dev coach, creator of superhero coding and how to build games. And we'll catch you next time.